Looking at the Markets with David Modell.
Hello and welcome to Looking at the Markets with David Modell. Volume is so crucial in your trading and your investing. It doesn't even matter what you're trading. I mean, it could be the spiders, the S&P 500. It could be Bitcoin. It could be gold, silver, whatever the heck it is. You've got to be aware of volume and how to use it and how to trade it. Today, I've got a special guest, a repeat guest, Jake from TrendSpider.com, and he's going to give us some power tips and how he uses volume. I mean, he let me know beforehand that he thought that SPY, the S&P 500, was going to go up today, and it did. And he used volume to know that. And now I want to know how he knew that. So, Jake, welcome back to Looking at the Markets.
Thank you for having me once again. I'm always happy to be on.
Yeah. Okay. So volume along with candlesticks, or better yet, these other types of indicators, which is raindrops, which only TrendSpider has. And if you want to get these power tools for volume and for raindrops, you got to go to TrendSpider.com. I'll also put a link in the description below this video. Just go ahead and click on that. But Jake, what are we looking at today?
So, I'm going to go over a couple case studies on how you can use the raindrop charts. And so you'll see here, we have SPY on the left, we have SPY on the right, and they look different because one side has a raindrop chart and one side has a regular hollow chart, a hollow candle chart, that is. And what you can see here is yesterday on the 28th of April, we can see in the raindrop portion of this chart that a lot of the volume was aggregating at the top of the range yesterday. So you can see the left side here and the right side are the first half and then the second half of the day. And you can see on the left side that there's the volume profile shown, and then you can see on the right side there's the volume profile shown for the price action throughout this period. Now what's interesting is during the second half of the period, you can see that a lot of this volume, almost all of it, was focused at the very top of this range. And we know that there was no volume on the bottom part of this price range because there's no volume profile. It's literally just flat. So we know that there was no volume within this range. All of that volume was really focused at the top. So we could see that buyers were really starting to accumulate and shares were really aggregating around the top of this area. And then we had our continuation up. And you can see in the regular hollow candle, all we can see here is that buyers were in control because the open was down here, the close was up here, and we can see buyers were in control. We don't know where those buyers were really located at. We just know if we turn on this volume candle or this volume bar, at least in this bar, we can see that essentially you had a decent amount of volume, but it wasn't anything that was really significant. If we go to this bar, we can see that sure, all right, there was a slight, there's a slight uptick in volume in the second half at the top. We know that within this small little wick here, and let me get rid of this volume bar. You can see in this little wick, we just know that the price moved up. However, here, we know that within that wick, there was quite a bit of volume in the second half of the day. So what we call this is kind of a balloon. Generally, we're looking for a balloon that's breaking out of a very specific level. But if we turn on the SMA, which we can see here, the balloon was kind of forming right at the bottom of this SMA, and then we had pretty much the price action almost hopping over the SMA. And so you can see here, I got this alert this morning. It says breakthrough at 5 minutes. So that means that the price broke through this area within the first 5 minutes of price action. And so I was able to know right off the bat that we gapped up. Now, personally, I'm looking at the markets pretty much heavily pre-market. But if you're someone that didn't have a chance to check out the price action yet, you would have been alerted immediately whenever the 5-minute candle closed above this line that we were starting to move up. So this is a really cool way to keep your trades efficient, where you don't necessarily have to watch the market constantly the system is doing some of that for you. So this is a cool example of showing the volume really aggregating at the top of the price action yesterday and then our continuation up, as well as showing you how the alert system works on the platform, where you go in, set an alert, and you're essentially having the system do all the grunt work for you. Now let's say that we continue up and we want to be alerted anytime the price action touches the top of this range here. We can do the same thing that we just did on the, this was the SMA 20. We can do this on this trend line here, create alert at this drawing, and we can do the same thing. If I want to only know if the price action touches anywhere within this purple area, I just click touch, and you can see as I increase or decrease the sensitivity here, I'll be alerted anytime the price action gets anywhere within this purple area. And then what I can also do is change the confirmation candle. So in this case, if you're looking at the daily candle, let's say that we just absolutely rip into power hour and the price action got close to anywhere within this purple area, you would still need to wait until the daily candle closed to get that alert. Well, let's say that you're intraday trading, you want to scale in or scale out of a position, and you want to know when the 5-minute candle closes in this purple area. You'll be able to know a lot quicker, and you'll be able to take advantage of that trade a lot quicker and make a decision. What you can also do is change the name. This is a randomly generated name, Furious Engelbart. That's a interesting alert name. That's what you get with randomly generated names. Let's make this previous resistance. Let's do expiration ending within 10 days. We can have this expiration go all the way up to 45 days, depending on which pricing plan you have. But let's just do 10 for the purpose of this, and we'll create the alert. So now, if we get back into this purple area, which has been tested in the wick already today, we'll get that alert whenever the 5-minute candle closes in this area. So it's really a way for the system to watch these different little small areas for you without you having to look at a ton of different charts at once. So that's the first case study of a cool example of follow through after price aggregating at the top of the range yesterday. And then this is a cool example of Bitcoin. So this is definitely something you can use not only on stocks but crypto as well, where yesterday Bitcoin really broke through a very crucial level of support. If we go back, you can see, you know, this area of symmetrical triangle support has really been an area that has held since we started the hard uptrend again in early June.
Right.
And so what's interesting here is you can see as we break down here yesterday, a lot of that volume was focused at the bottom of the range into the second half of the day. So you can see that this wasn't just a fake out. This was backed by volume, and you can see that because there's this blob of volume here that shows there was an uptick, and then we've got our continuation down today. If we split the screen and look at the regular candle, we don't know anything about the volume within this wick. We just know that the price got to this area. But with the raindrop, we can see that there's this big hump in volume that shows that sellers were definitely, you know, taking this down. It wasn't just a little blip on the radar trying to stop out people, because we did have that continuation down tomorrow or the next day, which is today. And, you know, who knows what happens from here. We do see a little bit of kind of consolidation, price action kind of forming near the bottom here. So who knows if that's sellers or just people kind of buying the dip and accumulating. But this is a way that you can really utilize the raindrops to get a secondary perspective on how volume and price action are working together, rather than just seeing, okay, here's the daily candle, this is the wicks, these are the bodies, and this is what happened. This gives you a lot more information about the actual equilibrium price, the supply and demand, and gives you a much better gauge of what's going on within the day-to-day, or even you know, half-hour to half-hour price action. So
very cool. Yeah, and again, people do need to go to trendspider.com if they want to get that particular tool with the raindrops and also with those alerts that you mentioned. And with the alerts, you can actually specify the sensitivity of the alerts, which is really, really cool. I like the split screen ability here on trendspider.com. Yeah, there it is. There are the different types of alerts you can get, the sensitivity, breakthrough, touch, or bounce. It's all a little bit different, and once you get used to it, you're not going to want to go back to regular old candlestick charts with, on those other platforms. What a beautiful symmetrical triangle on Bitcoin there. So with the volume you're seeing, do you predict? Do you have any predictions as far as is it just going to break down further based on volume?
So, it's definitely showing that sellers are in control here, and I think quite a few people were watching this area to break down. So the fact that this is now breaking down and that there is volume behind it, I'm not an advisor or a broker dealer or anything like that. So all I can say is, based on today's volume, we can look and see that throughout the day, volume has started to kind of aggregate near the low of the period, because we can see this little hump of volume here. For me personally, this looks like just a classic case of maybe a retest. For example, maybe possibly retesting this general trend line above. Let me get rid of that line. Not sure what that did there. And so what I would do here is, this could just be a classic bounce and then pullback. So that's where I would really use this alert here in case that we did pull back to the upside. Because at the end of the day, I really don't know what's going to happen. Yesterday was a much easier day to kind of get an idea that we'd probably continue down, because we did have a lot of this volume breaking down through this crucial area. Right now, we've already kind of broken down, so it's hard to tell if this is going to be a little bit of a dead cat bounce or this is a false breakdown. But to me, the fact that this was backed by a decent amount of volume breaking down tells me that bears are definitely kind of taking over at this point, it seems.
Interesting. Do you have any other examples for us?
One thing that I wanted to show, and this is on the QQQ. So I'm not sure if we did this on our last video, but this is a really cool case study of just understanding how volume and price action work on Raindrops. So we can see here we've got this resistance area. We've got an area on the chart 2 times that we actually tried to break through this red line. First time we failed miserably, and that's because you can see that there wasn't a lot of volume backing this recent touch. So excuse me, yeah, this would be the 1, 2, this would be the 4th touch. We tried to break out during the first half of the period. However, during the second half of the period, you can see this area is flat. So there's no volume here. All of that volume was focused below the trend line, and then we have our continuation down. So compare that to when we finally did break out of the trend line. You can see a lot of that volume is focused through the trend line here, and we can see if we split the screen again, there was a wick that was broken through this red line. But if you actually look to see where the volume was, you wouldn't be able to really tell. So in this case, we've got the line. We can see that there's a wick, but with the raindrops, we can see within that wick all of this volume here that's really supporting the price above this line. Compare that to the other one. There's no volume really supporting the price above this line, and you've got your down move. Volume supporting the price above the line, and you've got your continuation up.
Very nice. Wow. Okay. Looking very bullish for the indexes, for the Qs, and that is the NASDAQ ETF right there. Hoping for a recovery in Bitcoin. Hope it gets back above that trend line that we mentioned before. And the spiders, the S&P 500, looking strong. How do I know? Well, it's like you just told us. It's because of the volume. And these raindrops provide a lot more information than traditional candlesticks ever could or will. Wow. All right. Any other commentary for today?
That is it. One thing I wanted to mention, if you can still see my screen with the Qs, same thing. We've got a lot of that volume aggregating at the top of the range here. So we'll have to see if we really break through this line or not tomorrow. But, with the week closing and the monthly candles closing tomorrow, Friday the 30th of August, it's going to be an exciting day to watch.
Absolutely. I'll be watching it, and I'll be using TrendSpider to help me. I'm a member of it, and you guys should be too if you're not already. Go ahead and go on over to trendspider.com and sign up. There is a free trial period, so you can test it out, and then you're going to want to get a subscription like I did, and also click on that link in the description below this video. Jake, it's been great. I'm going to start paying more attention to volume and how you've been using it. So thank you for coming on and looking at the markets once again. I appreciate it today.
Thank you so much for having me. And if you guys have any questions or want to learn more about the Raindrops, we will put a link in the details as well about how you can learn more about those in our blog.
Check that out. It's in the description below the video. Thanks a lot, everybody, and I'll see you next time on Looking at the Markets.